The Vietnam War was perhaps one of the most controversial conflicts in American history. It demonstrated our fear of communism and desire to expand democracy. However, many Americans, especially college students, did not know what we were fighting for and advocated peace with Vietnam through both peaceful and violent protests.
The three most radicalized university campuses were Columbia University, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and the University of California at Berkeley. However, college students around the nation also planned anti-war movements.
In fact, the anti-war movement began on these campuses and led to the leftist organization known as Students for a Democratic Society. The SDS organized teach-ins to express opposition of the Vietnam War. The organization's actions began when Nixon announced the bombing of Cambodia and escalated after the Kent State shooting.
The government took extreme measures to minimize the influence of the college students on the campuses, but they went too far May 4, 1970, when the Ohio National Guard killed 4 students on the Kent State campus.
Mayors of Trump dispatched the National Guard to Kent State to handle the demonstrators. Anti-war rallies were held prior to May 4th on the Commons. Fiery anti-war speeches were given, and a copy of the Constitution was buried.
General Canterbury ordered the students to disperse, but that did not stop the college students. So, police used tear gas against the protesters. Students moved to Bunker Hill and the guardsmen fired. Immediately after the shootings, many demonstrators had shown that they were willing to risk their lives.
Another college that held big anti-war rallies was Berkeley. Their protests are known as the Free Speech Movement. On September 30th, they organized a 10-hour sit-in in Sproul Hall.
Days later, Jack Weinberg, a non-student, is arrested for distributing political literature. Mario Savio then jumps on top of the police car in which Weinberg is sitting in.
In 1961, the demonstrations get more violent and the police have to use chemical mace to control crowds.
Back in the good old days of 1966, they didn't have cell phones. So how, you ask, did they ever communicate? Well, I can help you out. As you can see in this picture, they used this to communicate that they were having anti-war riots. Also, imagine, if you will, a bell tolling across the entire campus, letting the students know that there would be an anti-war riot happening. In this image, as you can see, it demonstrates further attempts by college students against the efforts of war in Vietnam. In this image, as you can see, is yet another example of how deeply affected the college community was by the war in Vietnam. In this particular picture, is the Princeton Vietnam Assembly. Yet a last attempt made by the college students in colleges across the country, far and wide. They made attempts to do oh my gosh. Yet a last attempt made by college students across the country, far and wide. They made attempts at civil disobedience by carrying signs, as you can see depicted in the picture.
On October 21, 1967, over 100,000 people marched on the Pentagon. The rally in front of the Lincoln Memorial started peacefully, but violence erupted as demonstrators clashed with U.S. Marshals protecting the Pentagon.
A total of 682 people were arrested by the end of the night. The Pentagon protests exemplified the debate over the Vietnam War.
When it was all said and done, the Vietnam War had started the counterculture movement in America. Since President Kennedy had represented teenagers, they felt more empowered and symbolized the new generation. They learned that they can cause change when they work together and consequently became more involved in politics. Since then, the new generation's nationalism has been, in a sense, lost.